Hello, dreamers. I'm your storyteller from My Dreamies Tales. I know many of you love listening to our stories to drift off to sleep. So before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more dreamy tales. Where are you listening from, and what time is it where you are? Drop your answers in the comments. I love hearing about the amazing places our stories travel to and the cozy moments they create. Now, settle in, take a deep breath, and let's begin tonight's journey into dreamland. I guess I should start off by just trying to give some background. I, Gary 46M, am married to my high school sweetheart, Angela 45F. We have been together for 32 years. We have known each other since kindergarten at Upson Elementary. We started dating when we were in the 8th grade and have never stopped. I really take pride in that. I mean it. We have never had a break. It's not our second time around. We have legitimately been either boyfriend, girlfriend, engaged, or married every day since we were 14 years old. We got married right after college. We were both 23 then. I went into accounting and got a good job with an accounting firm. I started my own firm when we moved to Rochester a few years later. My wife has been teaching either 3rd or 4th grade for the last 22 years. During that time, we had 2 great kids. Our oldest daughter, Veronica 21F, we had right away after we got married. We then had our son, Tom 19, 2 years later. We have lived a fairly normal American life, entering this empty nest stage of our lives. Tom is a sophomore in college now, and Veronica is a senior. They are both going to the University of Buffalo, which is nice because they are only an hour away. We are financially very well off. In fact, this hasn't been much of a stressor for us in over a decade. Got a nice chunk of savings built up. I should be able to retire in about 10 years, and so should she. We kind of have the typical tour the country in an RV plan when we get there. For 32 years now, we have supported each other. Sure, we have had a few bumps along the road, but nothing major, nothing serious. We both have maintained a decent fitness level. We are social, we are friends with several couples. Our bedroom life has diminished some with age, but it is by no means dead. That's basically it. That's our lives in a nutshell. That's why I can't make sense of what happened last night. Everything leading up to last night seemed normal. I have been recounting the last few weeks all day, and literally nothing sticks out. We both went to work yesterday. I got home at about 5:45 p.m. When I got there, I noticed that my wife was in the shower. Not her usual routine, but I didn't think anything of it. I went downstairs to get a start on dinner. I had picked up a couple of sirloins, so I fired up the grill. I figured some au gratin potatoes and asparagus would pair well. I went on making the full meal. When I was getting close to done, I went back to let my wife know dinner was ready. As I entered our master bedroom, my wife was sitting at her vanity. The room smelled good, and I could tell she had put on her favorite perfume. I had heard the hairdryer earlier, but I figured that was just routine. She was sitting there looking amazing. Her highlighted brown hair glowed. She had these like curls that spiraled down towards the front of her face. I don't really know how to describe it, but she definitely put some effort into it. She was wearing nothing but this matching lacy bra and panty set. The bra really pushed up and showed her girls off. She was doing her makeup, and I said to her, "Hey babe, dinner is ready. Is there something I missed? Do we have plans?" She didn't turn, just kept doing her makeup and said, "No, just me. I'm going on a blind date tonight." I laughed, thinking she was just being ridiculous. I said, "Okay," in a silly tone, and continued, "Well, dinner's ready, so come on down when you're done." I went back to the kitchen, where I prepared us 2 plates and set them out on the dining room table. Since Angela was so dolled up, I decided I would go ahead and light a candle and pour us 2 glasses of wine. I had just taken a few bites when she came in. She was wearing a stunning black dress. Hair, makeup were completely done to the max. She looked incredibly sexy. She looked at her plate, then back to me, then lifted her small clutch purse. "I told you I was going on a date. You didn't need to make me a plate." I looked at her and said, "Stop already with that nonsense." She replied, "It's not nonsense. I'm going on a date. I'll be home in a few hours. You don't have to wait up." Then she just turned and left. I was still sitting there with my plate in front of me, just kind of dumbstruck. Did she actually just leave to go on a date? After like 30 seconds, I got up and walked over to the door, and her car was pulling out of the driveway. As she was driving away, she spotted me and just gave a little wave. I went back into the house and grabbed my phone. We have had location sharing for several years now, so I followed her drive. She went to Red, which is one of our favorite places. She really did go on a date. I tried calling her 4 times and got no answer. Then I texted her. She finally responded when I said I was going to come down to the restaurant. She texted me, "Do not do that. I told you what I was doing. We can talk about this when I get home." I was totally mind blown. My lizard brain was saying, "Go down there," but ultimately, reason prevailed. I stewed in the house for a while, unsure of what to make of this. 2 hours ticked by, and I knew the place closed soon. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of thinking I just sat here waiting for her, so I went into the guest bedroom and laid down. It was about 75 minutes later that she walked in. I pretended to be asleep. I was really hurt by what she did. I can't believe she went on a date. My mind just kept having all these thoughts for what seemed like hours, but wasn't. Who did she go on a date with? What did they do after? Then it just sort of hit me. I guess she is done with me. 32 years and this is it. We didn't even have a proper conversation. There haven't been any real issues in the last few years that she has brought to my attention, so I don't think I necessarily did anything wrong. I read a lot, so I know this kind of thing happens. I like reading the personal stories people tell. Sometimes people just fall out of love. I guess that's what happened to my wife. She just fell out of love with me. Not necessarily anyone's fault, but still really hard for me to accept. The worst thing is that she just decided to move on. I don't know why I didn't get the courtesy to talk this out, or why she didn't ask to separate first. Why did she just start dating? She should have just asked for a divorce first, then she could date all she wanted. I was tearing up a little when she came into the guest bedroom. "What are you doing in here?" I turned and just looked at her. I had managed to cut the tears off. She continued, "Come to bed." I paused for only a moment, then got up. I followed her into the bedroom. She asked me to unzip her, and I did. I was just silent the whole time, totally confused about how to act or what to do. Finally, I asked, "Where did you go?" She said, "Red. It was really good. I probably should have stuck to 1 drink, but I did have 2. My heart sank. She was so flippant, so nonchalant about the whole thing. "Who did you meet?" She just answered, "His name is John Stanton. He is the cousin of my friend Helen." She set us up. It was kind of awkward at first, being a blind date and all. We were meeting for the first time, so I didn't really know how to act. Plus, I have never been on an actual date before, so that was also weird. But Helen did good. He was very good looking and charming. I could not believe my ears. Who was this woman? "That place closes at 10. It's 11:30. Where did you go after dinner?" She was removing her makeup at her vanity, but kept answering, "Oh, nowhere. We just sat in his car and talked." There was physical pain in me I had never known before, yet I persisted. "Is that all you did in his car?" She had finished cleaning up and was now getting undressed. She progressed from her evening wear to completely naked to an old t-shirt and pajama pants, as she said, "No, I mean, mostly just talked. I was tipsy right after dinner, so I was trying to sober up more so I could drive. We talked for 40 minutes. He eventually kissed me, and we made out a little. I was feeling more sober after a few minutes and called it a night. We are going to go out again next Friday, so don't make any plans for the both of us." At that point, she laid down in the bed. I was just sitting at the foot of the bed, completely shell-shocked. As I stared at the carpet, numb to the betrayal I was feeling, she said after a few seconds, "Are you going to lay down? It's pretty late." I was like a zombie. I dropped down to my usual boxer shorts-only sleep attire and climbed in next to her. I don't know how long I just stared at the ceiling. I just kept staring, even as she scooted back to me, pressing her back and butt against me, in the familiar way we always sleep. My thoughts on how my wife was leaving me, how she was searching for a new man to replace me, and was just going to keep our marriage going until she found one. It was a cruel twist of fate. Still, I felt like she at least owed me some answers. I would get those the next day before I started packing my things. I got up this morning and my wife was still in bed. It wasn't long. By the time I got out of the bathroom, which was only a few minutes, she was up. She made the bed real quick, then took my place in the master bath while I headed downstairs. I sat down at the kitchen table, wasn't doing anything, just staring. My wife came down not long after and made us a small breakfast. She was acting as though nothing was off, like it was any old Saturday morning. She began making small talk about what we should get done today. I couldn't take it anymore. Are we going to talk about last night? She looked up at me and asked, "What would you like to know?" I had a very standoffish tone. "Why did you go on a blind date?" She didn't change her demeanor one bit. "Well, I know that's kind of crazy, seeing someone you've never met before, but I want a date. I have never dated, and I think it sounds fun." It was fun. I'm glad I got over my skepticism. I was stunned. There it was. She was auditioning my replacement. "So that's it? You're going to be going on blind dates? I have no say in this?" She softened a little. "Hun, does that bother you? I didn't mean to make you worry. I'm sorry. I don't have to do that. I'll stick to people I know and vet more going forward. What about you? What are you going to do? You don't have to put yourself out there. You can do whatever. I know there are things you've always wanted to do, just like I've always wanted to date." The fact that it was a blind date is the point. But I didn't say that. I was too out of it just hearing her. This is so easy for her. How? Of course there are things I want to do, but that doesn't mean I want to throw away my marriage to do them. She talked a little bit more after that last comment, but I can't remember any of it. She said some things about changes or dynamics or something. I really can't remember. It was like my brain shut down. My wife is dating, and I'm supposed to do what in the meantime? She is out trying to find her next husband. For some reason doesn't think she should divorce me first, which is just unbelievably selfish. And I'm supposed to scratch items off my bucket list until then? I don't know what I'm going to do. Live, I guess, and look for the next Mrs. Powell. Do I even want another Mrs. Powell? Honestly, my biggest debate at this point is what, if anything, do I tell the kids? Their parents are divorcing, their mother is looking for a new husband. I hope they won't take it too hard. This has been a strange and challenging time. My wife has been dating John Stanton, who operates a power washing business, for the last month. At first, it was just dinner dates. They went on like 4 of those. Then, on this past Friday, she told me she wasn't coming home, that she was staying with John overnight. When she got home yesterday around noon, I asked what she did. She looked at me like I was crazy. "I spent the night at John's," she said in a confused tone. "Doing what?" I asked in an accusing tone. She looked around, still feigning confusion. "We had sex, twice. That was a dagger in the heart, I thought. Guess she found her man." I shook my head and walked away. She followed me and asked if something was wrong. I just said, "No, I know where I stand." She said in a matter-of-fact way, "I'm sorry you are feeling this way. It wasn't the first time. I kind of assumed you knew that. Do you need anything? It is normal to feel the way you are. So if you want to talk, we can." Why would I want to talk about another guy sleeping with my wife? I just told her no and went about my day. This isn't the worst part, though. She just left on another date today with a different guy. But she literally told me yesterday that she was going back out with John next Friday. I can't make sense of any of this. If she didn't think John was the guy, why sleep with him on Friday and plan another date with him? And I know this guy she went with today. It's flipping Dan Scott. I bought my last 2 vehicles from him. Those will be the last 2. I can tell you that. The most confusing thing is that she keeps treating me like she wants me to be her husband. Actually better. I won't lie. Things may have been a little stale before. I never thought this would happen. We definitely still loved each other. Well, I thought we loved each other. She probably still loves me, but isn't in love with me. It happens. I read about it all the time. Anyway, like I said, it had gotten a little stale. Yeah, we still had sex some and spent time together, but it was really routine. This past month, she has been coming on to me pretty often, like 4 or 5 times a week. I know she is out looking for a new husband, and I should cut her off. But you know what? I don't care. The getting is good, and I'm going to get. She also keeps asking me to do stuff with her. So we went to the theater together. She got tickets to a Bills game. I don't get it. She's acting like she was back when we were newlyweds. It's just really odd behavior. If you don't love a guy anymore and want to be with other people, then why put so much effort into the relationship? She has to have some sort of ulterior motive here. I mean, I keep wondering why she won't just end our marriage. My guess is she wants me to, so that I look like the bad guy. Well, I'm not going to do that, nor am I going to decline these invites and initiations she keeps making. Two can play this game, and I have been playing it. I have been doing all the things I wanted to do. Not since that very first date she went on have I stayed at home and stewed in my own self-pity. I go out with friends. I've hit several bars in town, gone axe throwing. No, I'm not just sitting around waiting while she's out with these other guys. The only thing is, I am getting a little lonely while she's out. I didn't think I would be, but knowing she's out there looking for my replacement hurts because I'm not looking for her replacement. I don't even really want to replace her. I just feel like I don't have a choice in this matter. She is dating. I guess I should do the same thing, but I have never been on a date in my life. You know, it was 8th grade with Angela. I passed her a note asking if she wanted to go out with me. She looked at me and nodded. We then exchanged phone numbers, which were home phone numbers. Sure, we went out together, but those weren't getting to know you dates. We already knew each other. I wouldn't even know how to act on a date or what's protocol. I've never used a condom before. Do I need one? Oh God, is she using condoms when she's out with John Stanton? Ugh, I can't think about that right now. I'm just not sure about any of this, but I know eventually she is going to drop me whenever she finds the right guy. So the clock is ticking here. I don't want to be left a bitter old man sitting around a one-bedroom apartment waiting to die alone. Guess at some point, I am going to have to put myself out there and see what modern women are into. 6 months ago, my wife decided she was going to start dating. It began on a blind date with a guy named John Stanton. It definitely did not end there. It doesn't even seem half the time like she is trying to find a new husband. Some of these guys she has been seeing, she barely spends any time with at all. Dan Scott is a good example. She was going on a date with him that one Sunday, but she came back to the house like an hour later. I figured it just didn't work out, but now every few weeks on a Sunday, she will tell me she is going to see Dan, and then comes back like an hour later. How in the hell do you even build a rapport with someone in that short of a time? Not really my concern. Just find it curious. She still keeps up this happy wife charade. I can't even tell you how many dates her and I have been on. I still accept almost every time unless it conflicts with plans I already have. I'm not giving up on this. She will break and leave before I do. Although it does get really difficult sometimes, especially when curiosity gets the best of me and I ask her about her plans or what she did while she was out. It's not even curiosity sometimes, it's just a habit. You ask a woman about herself every day for over 30 years, it just becomes second nature. She does not hold back. And believe me when I say ignorance is bliss. I will never get the mental image of some of the things she's done out of my head. Hell, I do not even begin to know the exact number of men she has been out with. But it has to be at least 10 men. Some of them are like 25 years old. How in the hell are you going to marry some guy that's only 3 years older than your own daughter? Speaking of the kids, they are still totally in the dark about our impending divorce. I can't bring myself to say anything. When they visit or are home for breaks, my wife ceases all extramarital activity and just spends time with the family. So at least they aren't asking any questions at this point or noticing anything out of the ordinary. I was going along pretty well for the first 4 months after this all started. I had joined a bowling league. I started going out with a couple of single guys from work. They have been a real blast. Yet, I really started to find myself feeling lonely. My wife, while putting in effort when she was home with me, was still going out 1 to 2 nights per week. I guess it started to show around this time because she recommended that I got on a dating app and find someone else for myself. That in itself hurt because it was her blatantly saying she didn't want me anymore. She wanted me to be with someone else. She then sent me a link to an app. Field is what it was called. I went ahead and filled out all the information and got myself a profile. I didn't really know what to put, so I kept it pretty simple. This didn't get me anywhere, so then Angela got on it and filled in some more about me. That seemed to work because I got matched with a local woman almost right away. Her name is Sarah, 41F. We started just by talking. It was intoxicating getting to know this woman. I hadn't felt this way in a really long time. We talked about everything. I told her about my job and my kids. We both really loved the Buffalo Bills. It was just easy. She has worked as an esthetician for 20 years and has a huge client base. She has one son who is 17 years old and a high school senior. The only thing we don't talk about is past or current relationships. She was real clear early on that she was not interested in that, if I was dating other people as well. At the same time, she wouldn't be sharing anything with me about past relationships. I was completely fine with this. I mean, why would I date more than one person at a time anyway? You can't really determine if someone is the one if you are constantly throwing new people in the mix. That's something my wife could use a lesson in. Well, in the 6 weeks that Sarah and I have been together, we have done a lot of great stuff. Our Friday night dates are always the highlight of my week. Angela also seems to be happy for me, which is weird, but I guess it eases the guilt that I am finding my next spouse as well. Maybe she will even be inspired by Sarah and I to settle down and do this right. As of right now, I am still doing my dates and sleeping in the same bed with Angela, but I feel like that may change in the next few weeks as Sarah and I progress our relationship. In all this isn't what I wanted or thought would happen. I thought Angela and I would be together forever. At least I know I can build a future with Sarah. I have never been more embarrassed in my entire life than I was last night. I'll just start from the beginning. I have been dating this woman, Sarah, for about 9 months now. It has been going great. I spend at least one night a week with her. We also get the chance to meet for lunches and stuff like that pretty often. She usually comes to my house as my wife typically goes out or stays somewhere else 1 or 2 nights a week, so I try to match that with Sarah. We spend tons of time each day messaging. It has been a breath of fresh air these months after my wife decided she was leaving me, which she still has not done, and still acts like we are a happy couple every day of the week. 3 weeks ago, I sat my wife down and told her I was no longer willing to be intimate with her. Sarah and I had begun saying, "I love you" at this point. I just felt like I was cheating on Sarah now that we were obviously exclusive. Angela was hurt and told me so, even saying that this could put a strain on our marriage. That was the weirdest statement ever. What about our marriage? How is it not already strained by her auditioning a couple dozen other guys to replace me? Anyway, I put that past me. We still go out to dinner and stuff, but I now sleep in the guest bedroom. I did not tell Sarah any of this because she has that strict rule about no past or current relationships being brought up, which seems overly specific to me, but I let it go. I made the mistake one time of bringing up Angela, and she corrected me very quickly. It was over, but she was very assertive in that moment, and I dare not press that again. I asked Sarah this past week if she would go on a weekend trip with me. She said she had to check a few things. She got back to me a few hours later with a resounding yes. I was very excited. I had booked a bed and breakfast about 3 hours away. I got us a reservation at a very nice local restaurant. The town was full of little stores and antique shops, which is something we are both interested in. We arrived Friday night and had a wonderful evening. Ate dinner at a nice bar and grill, then back to the room for a very intimate night. The next day, we enjoyed the alone time until about midday. We ventured out and shopped for a few hours before heading back to the room to get cleaned up. What I didn't tell her is that I had a carriage ride booked for us to take us to the restaurant. Prior to this evening, I had visited a lawyer and had divorce papers drawn up to serve to my wife. She will be served on Monday. After the carriage ride picked us up, which it appeared Sarah really enjoyed, I made my true intentions known. See, I am a 47-year-old man who knows he wants to share his life with someone. I shared with Sarah my thoughts and feelings about her, how much I love her, and how she makes me feel as a man. Then I told her that I wanted to spend my life with her, and pulled a beautiful diamond ring. I got on my knee in the carriage and asked her to marry me. I did not get the reaction I expected. She began to tear up and said, "Why are you doing this?" I was as dumbfounded as I was that day. Angela told me she was going on a blind date. She looked at me and said, "I have no desire to leave my marriage. I care about you and love you, but this was never going to be the outcome." I couldn't believe my ears. She was married. Why in the hell is she out here on a date with me if she is already married? I looked at her, hurt in my eye. "You're married?" She was noticeably alarmed by my question. "Yes, how did you not know that? I mean, you're married too, right?" I didn't answer. I was too upset. I jumped down from the carriage ride and honestly feel lucky I didn't hurt myself. I began walking back towards our room. The driver noticed and stopped. When I saw Sarah begin to get out, I picked up my pace. I had no desire to hear her out at this time. I noticed she got back in the carriage and was taken back to the room ahead of me. That was fine, whatever. When I got back, she was trying to talk to me, but I just ignored her. We had ridden together, so I knew I couldn't just leave her here 3 hours from Rochester. I told her to pack her things and to please not speak to me. I needed to come down from this. She seemed very annoyed and confused, which I also found infuriating. This woman has been cheating on her husband with me for the past 9 months. That is just irreconcilable. I put my earpods that Veronica and Tom got me for Christmas in and refused to talk the entire drive back. When we arrived, she said, "I'm in an open marriage. It was on my bio when you first messaged me." "So are you? Why are you acting like this?" I just said, "Communication styles aside, I haven't felt married to my spouse since she started looking for my replacement. I even have her being served divorce papers on Monday. I thought you were the one. I guess the joke's on me." At that point, I drove off, headed back home. Sarah has not messaged me since. When I arrived at my house, there was an unusual car in my driveway. I thought to myself, I cannot deal with this right now. I'm just going to go in and go to the spare bedroom. When I entered, I had hoped they were somewhere else, but no. Angela and this other couple were sitting in the living room drinking some wine. As I tried to just walk by, Angela called out to me, "Jerry, what are you doing here? Where's Sarah? I thought you had the big weekend planned." I looked over at her and her 2 guests. Thankfully, the guy was dressed normal, but Angela and this other woman were both in lingerie. I just shook my head. Unfortunately, I had a tear in my eye, and when she looked at me with such concern, I broke down a little. There was an audible gasp, as for the first time, I let the pain in. She hugged me. The guests got up as to leave, but before they could, it just came out. She was cheating on her husband. Angela took a step back, and we were unfortunately blocking the escape route of her 2 guests. Angela, in a very confused tone, "What do you mean cheating? I thought she was in an open marriage just like us. I mean, you 2 met on field." I pulled back and looked at her. She said the same thing. What does our communication style matter? It doesn't matter how well you communicate, if you are just going to do whatever you want. Just like you asked me to be open. Then, like a month later, you started dating that John guy, and it's only gotten worse since. So yeah, I agreed. But I haven't been telling you much since you decided you needed a new husband. Angela looked at me with a very concerned face and said slowly, "Jerry, what do you think an open marriage is?" I kind of looked at her guests that had shocked faces, then down at Angela, as she had the most concern I had ever seen in her eyes. "It's just being open about your feelings and communicating." Angela stumbled back. "Jerry, an open marriage is when a couple agrees that dating other people and having sexual relationships with others is allowed, yet they still intend to stay married and be a committed couple." I looked at her blankly, yet my mind exploded. What? Why would anyone agree to that? I was in a trance. That's what she has been doing this whole time? Finally, I responded, "So, you haven't been looking for a new husband?" Angela, "Oh my God, Jerry, no. I love you. I don't want another husband. It was just that we had only ever known each other to any degree. I mean, we've been together since the 8th grade. I just thought we could both have some new experiences. I thought things were going great until a few weeks ago when you moved into the spare bedroom." I could not believe what I was hearing. This whole time, all the men, and I guess women, that she has slept with were all just for fun? There was this insane awkwardness in the room. We were still blocking the door for the other couple to be able to leave. The male half finally made a throat-clearing noise, and we moved out of the way. The woman put on a coat, and they both left. Then, much to my dismay, I could hear both of them loudly say in unison, "Oh my God!" Angela and I spent the night talking. I remember when she asked for the open marriage. I really did think it just meant being honest. Thinking back now, it makes more sense when she brought it up, and when I agreed, she asked me about limitations, boundaries, and rules. Which I stupidly said, why would anyone need any of those things in an open marriage? All confident and sarcastic. I agreed to an open marriage for the last 13 months, and didn't even know what I had agreed to. I am a moron. I told Angela about the divorce papers and the proposal. She is pretty hurt by that, and we have both agreed to start couples counseling. Angela did ask me to move back into our bedroom, and I did so last night, which I am taking as a good sign that she wants to save our marriage as well and work past this. I also could use the therapy, as finding out that not only did your wife have sex with 19 other men, she also outdid you on sleeping with other women 2-1. It would have been 3-1, but I interrupted the party. I don't know. I just don't know anymore. Did the real world pass me by? I'm sitting here thinking, how could I not figure this out in 13 months? Why didn't I just end things with Angela, or at least speak up right away? I'm so conflicted. On one side, I do feel betrayed by her, and I am angry about all that she did. At the same time, though, I literally told her to go out and have fun. I agreed to all of this, and when it bothered me, I kept it to myself. I do have to say it did lead to some positives. We dated and had sex way more often. I also got to be with someone else, which I had always wondered about. I made some new friends and did things I probably wouldn't have otherwise. At the same time, my wife went off the deep end, and she never noticed or checked in with me. I made a fool of myself in front of Sarah and that couple, who I don't even know. I wouldn't be surprised if the tale of the oblivious husband is all over the internet by now. I just hope my real name doesn't end up in there. I'll be calling tomorrow and stopping the serving of the divorce papers. I'll also send Sarah an apology and explanation. She deserves that much. I don't think I will try and rekindle things. Angela and I both agreed to stop the open marriage. I think we both want to see how much repair we can do before we make any decisions.